Hello, everyone. Welcome to your restorative practice. My name is Tessa. I'm glad you're here. So we're going to do some things for the legs today in particular. We will do a little bit of upper body relaxation and restoration, but we'll focus for the first part of class on the legs. And if quadriceps and hip flexors, so that's like the front of the legs, tend to be pretty tight for you, like for example, if doing something like this is pretty challenging in terms of the stretch that you get on the front of the leg, then I recommend grabbing a chair and pillows or couch cushions or blocks or all of the above if you have them at home. Definitely you have a chair at home, and definitely you have pillows and couch cushions at home. So those are things that I think you should grab and come back to your mat. And then the one other prop would be a towel or a blanket. And we're going to start out in a belly down position. So if you're gathering those props, when you come back to your mat with everything, we'll just go ahead and lengthen out on the belly. You can stack your hands right underneath your forehead, draw your elbows wide, and make a little pillow with the backs of your hands. And we'll just take a few moments here to arrive. Starting to breathe into the belly, and notice how this feels belly down. And it can be quite intense if there's anything going on in the stomach, or if you ate recently. And so just noticing that. And if you need to press up and back to child's pose, alternatively, that's always an option. We'll take about 5 more breaths here. So as you breathe in, start to feel that expansion across the rib cage, in particular the back rib cage. And the softening across the front body as you breathe out. Two more breaths here. And then when you're ready, palms underneath the shoulders, press up to hands and knees. And we'll just move through a few rounds of cat-cow, just to awaken the spine and get a sense of how the body, the breath are feeling today. Two more rounds of cat-cow. Let's warm up the wrist a little bit. So we'll first turn the fingertips back towards the knees. You can stay in tabletop here, or I'm going to sink my hips back to my heels, so I'm just kind of leaning back. And then it's up to you how far you want to take this, and maybe not even up to you per se, more appropriately up to your body. So the heels of the hands might lift away from the mat. It's okay if the whole palm's not down. It's okay also if the fingertips aren't fully rotated back, they could be out to the sides. That might be an interesting variation to explore. And you can add even movement here. You can shift forward and backward. Most important thing is that you're listening to your body, its limitations, and you're listening to your breath. Let's take 3 breaths here. One more breath in. Breath out. And then turning the fingertips forward, and then we'll flip the palms up to face the armpits. So you'll be on the back of your hand, your palm is facing upward. And that same thing, you can crouch back, like hips can move back towards the heels, or you can be more in a tabletop. Or you can be moving weight forward and backward. Notice your breath here. The breath is always a really good indicator of how far to go in a shape and when to back out and when to add on. Let's take about 3 more breaths, whether you're moving or still in this shape. And then come to the palms of the hands. And if you can see me here, I'm curling my toes under and I'm moving my hips back towards my heels. And then I might just sit back on my heels for a little bit of a toe opening, sole of the foot opening. That's not always accessible, just depending on our ankles or our knees. So you can always stand up on your knees and get that same kind of fascial opening for the soles of the feet. So either way, you're standing on your knees or you're sitting on your heels. We'll add the arms, we'll inhale and breathe in, reach up. And then we'll exhale and we'll cross the right elbow on top of the left. You can wrap at your wrist or you can just simply grab your shoulders, drawing your elbows down, curling your chin in. We'll take about 5 breaths here. Last 2. Last 1. And so first unwind the arms, reach up, and then if you're not already, stand on your knees and then bring your palms forward, uncurl your toes, and you can just tap out the tops of your feet. And once more, we'll curl the toes under. We'll either choose to lean back on the heels or stand up on the knees. And you can play with that as we hold this shape. You don't have to choose one and stick with it the whole time. So listening to your body and its cues. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And then exhale, cross your left elbow on top of your right. You can grab, or you can wrap at your opposite wrist as well, or you can just hold on to your opposite shoulders. We're going to round forward again from here. So elbows move in towards the belly, chin curls in towards the chest. Take about 5 breaths. Last 2. Last 1. First, unwind the arms, breathe in, reach up. And then set those palms back down, come forward to tabletop and tap out the toes, or the tops of the feet rather. And then we'll lay the feet flat, so the tops of the feet flat. And if your ankles don't do that, that's okay, listen to your body. We'll start to play with shifting the weight back onto the heels. So now there's a stretch maybe maybe for you, there's a stretch sensation across the shin bone, the ankle, and the top of the foot. And that might be, you might need to lessen it. You can always bring your hands forward and come back towards tabletop. You might sit right here, just kind of like lengthening out through the spine, or you might intensify it by bringing your hands back behind your feet. And then maybe, for me, this is true, when I lean back a little bit, I start to feel that quad and hip flexor stretch. You can play with the range of motion in your feet and your ankles by maybe even lifting the knees up. We're just going to be here for about 5 breaths. So nice deep belly breaths, nice and slow. 2 more breaths here. Last one. And so if you're leaning back, make your way forward. And now that we've done all of that prep work, we're going to find our longer holds. And this is where I'd recommend grabbing your chair, your blocks, and or your pillows, or all of the above. I'm going to turn around to face my chair, show you how I would utilize this. And so first shape we'll take will be dragon, or a wide-legged low lunge. Bring one of your feet forward to the top of your mat. You can bring, if you're using a chair, forearms down to the chair seat. Curl your back toes under, lift your back knee, wiggle that back foot back. Set your knee back down, maybe a blanket underneath the back knee if you need a little extra padding. And then see if you can kind of sink into the hips. Here's an option with the front foot, the toes, they can turn out to the side off of the mat, and you're letting that knee move in that same direction. So there's a little bit of an opening to the inner thigh. At the same time, there's a simultaneous stretch happening to left quadricep, left hip flexor. That's going to help us prepare for our next shape. And so we're going to be here for about the next 2 minutes. If you like, you can come down to let your hands stack underneath your forehead. Let your forehead rest on the backs of your hand. If you're using a chair, that's much easier because it's higher. If you're using blocks or pillows, just continue to listen to your body and its limitations. Halfway through, 1 more minute here. Continue to breathe deep into the belly if you can, when you remember. Relaxing your jaw, your shoulders, your throat. One more deep breath in. Deep breath out. And when you're ready, you can start to, if you came down to the forearms, or the elbows. You can come back up to the hands. I'll move the hips back a little bit, and then bring your right knee back, or whatever leg you had forward. Bring it back, and then we'll switch sides. Opposite leg forward. And so if you can see this, I have my foot, it's wide to the outer edge of my mat, and my chair or whatever props you're using are on the inner edge of the leg. And so that will allow me, the reason why I'm saying that is because if you want to find that external rotation for the inner thigh of this side, you can turn your toes off of the mat. It allows just a little bit more space for the hips to open up, encourages a little bit more external rotation. Now, as you lean forward onto your elbows, if that's accessible, you can always stay up on your hands. Either way, curl your back toes under, lift your back knee, wiggle the foot back so you have a nice long leg. And then set the knee back down. Give yourself that extra padding with a blanket if you need it. And start to settle in here. And whatever settling in means, maybe it's just a matter of deepening the breath. Maybe it's physically moving the body forward and down. Maybe it's just softening the jaw, telling yourself that wherever you are in this moment is exactly where you need to be, and your shape is good enough. Whatever it looks like, it's good enough. In restorative practice, the invitation is to strive less, soften more. Strive less, soften more. About halfway on this side. We just have about one more minute here. Let's take one more deep breath in. Deep breath out. And when you're ready, you can start to, if you came down to your forearms, elbows, whatever, come back up to your hands. You can back up a little bit through the hips. And then send your knee back into the center of your mat. And we're going to turn around now. So if you have a chair, keep it here and make sure that it's going to be stable on your mat. I want to show you an option for our next shape. So the two front legs of my chair are on my sticky mat, so the chair is not going to move around too much. And also I have a wall right behind me, so I can kind of lean into that a little bit. So turn around so my back is to the chair. You don't have to have the chair behind you. I'm just going to show you this option first. You're going to take something, whether it's blocks or pillows or folded blankets, slide it underneath the sits bones. Give yourself as much height as you need for your knee joint. So it might be more height. You might stack more height underneath the sits bones. And then you're going to bring 1 foot forward. I'll do it this way. So 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. And just like we practiced at the beginning of class, the ankle's moving towards flat, shin bone down, and the hip is on the inner edge of the leg. So if you're seated all the way down onto the mat, you're not sitting on your ankle or your heel, you're sitting on the mat with your sits bones, or you have that prop there. And then you can kind of just lean back into your chair or your prop, whatever is behind you. Some folks that are really bendy, you might go all the way to the mat. I wouldn't suggest trying that unless you know your knee joint is really healthy, your quadricep muscles are very agile, your hip flexors are very open. Okay, so meet your body where it is. If you feel like you've got too many props underneath you and you want to settle in a little bit deeper, feel free to remove some props. Like you can move the chair away from you if you're using that. You can come down onto your elbows on the mat behind you even. But just a reminder that in our restorative practice, what are we doing? We are looking for more ease and less striving. Usually when we're striving for something, the goal, the beautiful shape, whatever it is, the accolade, the ego has taken over. Ego isn't a bad thing. It's something that's necessary that we need. But for this moment right now, we're saying, hey, ego, just take a break. I hear you, I see you, but just take a break. Let's find our breath here. We'll be here for about 1 more minute, and then we'll switch sides. Just do your best to soften, breathe deep. Take one more big breath in. Long, slow, deep exhale out. If you're leaning back on your elbows, if you're leaning all the way back on your back, your shoulders, pressing into your hands if you can, and then leaning forward. And then we'll take the foot that's forward back and the foot that is back, send it forward. You're just switching sides. And then be sure before you get in a rush that if you're not utilizing a prop underneath the sits bones, if your sits bones are on the mat, that they're actually on the mat and your ankle is outside of your sits bone. Okay. And first, what are you working with? A straight ankle. Top of the ankle is, or top of the foot is on the mat. If that's not happening, then you need something underneath the sits bones. And if the knee joint is feeling stressed, you definitely need something underneath the sits bones. You need to decrease that tension in the knee and the ankle first in order to add on. Meet yourself where you are, as always. You're going to lean back, whether it's on a prop or all the way down to your back. If this feels frustrating to you because you want to go deeper, that is your work. That is your work today, to sit in the frustration, to listen to the body, and to let this be enough. Or to snuggle with your kitty. See if you can deepen your breath, soften in, relax, let go for 1 more minute here. Take one more deep breath in. Long, smooth exhale out. If you're leaning back on your elbows or on your back body, start to mindfully make your way up to an upright seat. You can come forward to hands and knees. And now you're going to make space on your mat to come back to that belly down position we started out in. If you want to, you can clear your mat of any props. You can move your chair away. We don't need that anymore. Make space for your elbows. When we come down to our belly, we're going to pull our elbows wide. So if I were looking at you, up at you from the ground, you're going to make a cactus shape with your arms, elbows at least as high as the shoulders, maybe a little bit higher, and palms facing down. Okay, so just lay on down onto your belly. Kind of tuck the chin in and let your forehead rest. We'll do a little bit of shoulder work and a little rotation of the spine, and then we'll end our class. So to start off, take a look at your left shoulder. Be sure your elbow is not below your shoulder. So inch those left fingertips forward, forward, forward until the elbow is higher than the shoulder. Okay. And then bring your right hand underneath your right shoulder. Look to your right. So you're going to rest your left cheek on the mat or maybe a folded blanket. And press into your hand, your right hand, so you're rolling weight onto the left side body. So maybe you're just resting here on your left hip, your left chest, your left cheek. And that right leg, it can reach behind you, the knee can bend, the foot can plant, or you can simply stack the legs one on top of the other. Find a place where you can breathe deeply with ease. And we'll be here for about 1 minute. Take one more breath in. One more breath out. Start to unwind, come back onto the belly. And then again, take your elbows wide, and this time you're going to inch your right fingertips forward. Look at your right elbow and shoulder ratio. Be sure your right elbow is higher than your shoulder. Once that's certain, look over your left shoulder, rest your right cheek, left hand underneath the shoulder. Okay, so you can press down here, move the weight onto the right side body, moving on to the right hip, right shoulder. Left leg, it can do whatever it wants, whatever is calling to you. So the leg can stack or it can sweep behind you. You can bend the knee and plant the foot. Pay attention to how that feels throughout the body, throughout the spine, in particular, low back. If it's feeling pinchy, you might need to back out a little bit. You might just need to stack the legs or even bend the knees like you're in fetal position. And just work with opening the chest. We're going to be here for about 1 minute. Find your breath. Take one more deep breath in here. Deep breath out. And gently make your way back onto your belly. And you can simply align yourself into a belly down Shavasana here. If you want, we're just going to take a minute to just find stillness, returning to the same place you started in. You might stack your hands underneath your forehead. You can always flip over onto your back if you prefer that, or any other shape in Shavasana that you like. But we'll take about 1 minute here to settle in, to rest, to breathe, to let everything percolate and culminate in silence. Relax your shoulders, your jaw. Just let your breath go. If you're on your belly, you can bring your palms underneath your shoulders and press back to child's pose. And if you're on your back, you can roll off to a side fetal position. We'll just take a moment to briefly transition. Full breath in, full breath out. You can rise up to a comfortable seat. Take a moment to rest the hands face down on the thighs. Relax your shoulders down your back. Feel your sits bones root and your spine grow tall. Breathe in here. Breathe out. If you like, join me in Anjali Mudra, thumbs resting at the breastbone, bowing the chin to the chest. Taking a moment to honor your practice with reverence and gratitude. To all of our teachers, past, present, future, and to the teacher within your own heart. Namaste, yogis. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to class, sharing your practice and your time. I hope you enjoyed. Take care of yourselves and come back again soon.